Hello, welcome to VNA Broadcast Daily and following are the highlights.
Overseas Vietnamese gather in Hanoi to celebrate the coming traditional New Year festival. Senior officials of ASEAN member countries and China meet to discuss the implementation of the Declaration on the Conduct of Parties in the EC. Vietnamese families on the 23rd of the last month of the lunar year are busy to stage a farewell ceremony for the kitchen gods.
More than 1,000 overseas Vietnamese gathered at a special event at Ba Dinh Square in Hanoi yesterday evening to celebrate the coming traditional New Year festival. State President Trương Tấn Sang attended the event.
Late afternoon on the day, President Sang and the participating overseas Vietnamese witnessed the release of fish at the Ho Chi Minh Memorial Complex as part of the Kitchen God Festival, an important event to bid farewell to the old year. At the gathering, President Sang affirmed that the party and state always regard overseas Vietnamese communities an inseparable part of the Vietnamese nation. The annual Xuân Quê Hương, Spring in the Homeland, is held 8 days before Tet to welcome Vietnamese expatriates returning home for their country's biggest event. The number of overseas Vietnamese returning home and participating at this program is larger than the previous events, despite economic difficulties. At this event, I see their smiles, I sense their happiness, as well as sentiments toward the homeland. Vietnamese expatriates were really surprised and moved by the program of performances at the event. I feel very happy to participate in the program. Responding to the government's call for building the homeland, I have poured money in tourism and do hope that more overseas Vietnamese will return home to join hands in making the country more prosperous. The atmosphere of our traditional Tet festival will keep me warm and motivate me to work more for the homeland, although living far and away. I'm carrying out a training project in Vietnam. I think it is important to equip young generations with the latest technologies in the world, as they will decide our country's future. The same day, the Vietnam Fatherland Front Central Committee hosted a get-together for overseas Vietnamese coming home for Tet. There are an estimated 4 million Vietnamese expatriates around the world.
The Vietnamese embassies and overseas Vietnamese worldwide on January 15th held get-togethers to welcome the Lunar New Year festival.
The celebration in Laos was attended by Lao Deputy Prime Minister Thongloun Sisoulith, who extended his New Year wishes to the Vietnamese party, state and people. The Vietnamese embassy in Indonesia hosted a reception the same day, during which Ambassador Nguyễn Xuân Thị urged overseas Vietnamese to make further contributions to national construction in their homeland. Similar events were also held in the UK, France, Canada, and Thailand.
Senior officers of Asian member countries and China met in their fourth meeting in Beijing last weekend to discuss the implementation of the Declaration on the Conduct of Parties in the East Sea (DOC).
Officers stressed the need to exert further efforts in fully and efficiently implementing commitments and regulations set in the Declaration on the Conduct of Parties in the EC. Refrain from any act that can make the situation more complicated, respect sovereignty and jurisdiction of coastal nations over the economic exclusive zones and continental shelves, in accordance with the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. They said parties should fully implement regulations in the Declaration on the Conduct of Parties in the EC and build the Code of Conduct in the EC soon. At the event, the delegation of Vietnam, in capacity of a coordinator in ASEAN-China relations, delivered a speech on the grouping's common view, saying that peace, stability, maritime security, safety and freedom are the common aspiration and interests of all regional and non-regional countries. Therefore, countries have to join hands for the goals. In an interview granted to the Vietnam News Agency, Deputy Foreign Minister Phạm Quang Vinh said. Participants to the meeting agreed that the Declaration on the Conduct of Parties in the EC is a document of extreme importance. The 5th ASEAN-China Senior Officers Meeting and Joint Working Group meeting will take place in 2012.
The Hanoi People's Committee has allowed the organization of 43 open-air trade venues. This reflects the authorities' efforts to facilitate citizens' preparations for the upcoming traditional New Year festival.
The venues will be open until January 22nd from January 14th. Such open-air destinations offer sales of flowers, farm products and food, making citizens' preparations for the Lunar New Year festival, the most important event in the year, easier. The municipal authorities demanded that relevant agencies and forces watch over environmental hygiene, fire precautions and social order and security at these venues.
Ornamental kumquat trees, the symbol of the Lunar New Year festival of the Vietnamese people, are generating a significant source of income for residents in the central city of Hội An. Last year, kumquat trees made revenues for over 9.5 billion Vietnam dong. They expected to net over 10 billion Vietnam dong this year.
In recent years, local people in Cẩm Hà Commune and Tân An Ward in Hội An City have been embarking on growing flowers and ornamental trees for their livelihood. In Cẩm Hà Commune, 350 households have involved in growing ornamental kumquat trees to supply for local markets. To prepare for the coming traditional New Year festival, kumquat growers in Cẩm Hà have provided over 41,000 trees, each worth from 300,000 to 20 million Vietnam dong. Cẩm Hà kumquat trees have so far been sold to Da Nang, Huế, Quảng Ngãi, Bình Định, and Nha Trang. The trees have become increasingly favored by many for home decorations during Tết.
Vietnamese families on the 23rd of the last month of the lunar year are busy to stage a farewell ceremony for the kitchen gods Táo Quân on their yearly visit of heaven. The custom of worshipping the kitchen gods reflects Vietnamese respect for family happiness as well as their fine tradition lifestyle on the New Year occasion.
The kitchen gods, the chief guardian spirit of the kitchen, are believed to comprise 2 male gods and 1 female who bless the household and keep up the kitchen fire, making every member of the family happy and wealthy. As the legend goes, the kitchen gods will ride carts to heaven on the day to deliver an annual report on the household's activities to the god of heaven. As the kitchen gods make their journey on the back of fish, it is traditional to relieve live calves into lakes or rivers, which is considered a kind-hearted deed to pray for good luck. On that day, people also burn paper clothing, including hats, ropes, and boots, intended for use by the kitchen gods on the trip beyond. Beliefs about the kitchen gods have also changed over a year, and a number of Vietnamese families now welcome the ceremony earlier and use paper cups instead of real offerings to seal the modern life.
And that comes to the end of the news today. Thanks for watching and see you next time.